I'm a stroke survivor. I had a stroke when I was 17.
10 years after a stroke at 17 is a long time at such a foundational stage in your adulthood and in your life.
10 years of when I was recovering for about 10 years. It wasn't easy. I realized that us as stroke survivors, especially young people who want to actually get to a point where we can actually start being independent.
Where else did you source your strength from to actually endure those 10 years of recovery? Because that couldn't have been easy.
I decided to start a foundation.
You started investing with Frank. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about that journey, as I believe it was the first time that you had started investing.
One of my friends was actually asking me about Frank app. So that's when I took a screenshot and I was like, that is my son's investment account. And then she's like, no, I'm convinced.
Welcome back to another episode of Frankly Speaking, the podcast where we hear real stories from everyday South Africans who are taking control of their financial futures one small step at a time. My name is Cassidy and I'm head of growth at Frank, a savings and investment app that is empowering everyday South Africans to grow what matters with clarity and confidence. If you want to learn more about what we do, check out the description box below. If you like what you see or hear on today's episode, give us a like, leave us a comment, or tap on subscribe for future episodes. Today's guest is someone whose story goes far beyond money. Letlhogonolo is a stroke survivor, a mother of two, and the founder of a growing support network for people living with disabilities. After her own recovery journey, she made it her mission to create a safe space for others going through similar experiences. And what started as a WhatsApp group has since become a registered foundation. Letlhogonolo also began her investment journey with Frank a while ago, starting small and learning as she went. In today's conversation, we're going to talk about that, the emotional and practical hurdles, and what it means to rewrite your story when the odds feel stacked against you. Letlhogonolo, thank you for being here. Let's start at the beginning. Fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what led you to doing the work you do now?
Well, I'm a stroke survivor. I had a stroke when I was 17. So during the process of the recovery, I realized that us as stroke survivors, especially young people who want to actually get to a point where we can actually start being independent still, because we were still young and you still want to do a lot of things for your life. And my mom, I remember there was a time where she asked me, what if you live until you're 80? What are you going to do? Are you just going to sit? So it made me think that, I need to see that, because it made me see that when I was going through the recovery, I actually noticed that there were also other young stroke survivors that were struggling to find facilities that accommodated their types of disability, because there are certain types of disabilities, because like when you have a stroke, it's not like you're gonna experience the same type of side effects, because some of us we couldn't walk or anything like that, but then some people, you find that after a stroke they can still walk. So it's kind of like, okay, you need to think about what facility would accommodate that specific disability. So I started thinking about the fact that maybe creating a place where we could actually, like a platform that could assist other young stroke survivors to become independent. Because I saw that, it was a struggle for me during my 10 years of when I was recovering for about 10 years before I started my foundation. And then I decided that if I start my foundation, I could actually assist others to actually get to a point where I am, but maybe in a shorter space of time.
Letlhogonolo, I'm going to go back just a few steps just to your recovery. 10 years after a stroke at 17 is a long time at such a foundational stage in your adulthood and in your life. You mentioned your mother's kind of motto to you, which I think is such a good, very frank one, but obviously it was helpful at the time. Where else did you source your strength from to actually endure those 10 years of recovery? Because that couldn't have been easy.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. The thing is, it was nice that I had support from my school and from my family and friends that were outside of school. So it was nice to
Amazing.
have support. So
Mm.
I I saw with the support that I got that I could actually reach my goals actually a bit more easier, because you wouldn't have people like tearing you down that no, you won't be able to do it, this is beyond you type of thing. So that type of situation of being told that you won't reach that type of goal, it's kind of difficult emotionally for a person. And I thought that no, my support group can be that type of can be the motivation that other stroke survivors can have, because others, they didn't have that type of support when I would talk to them, because I would sometimes talk to the stroke survivors in private, like every week, just to check in on them and see if like there's anything that they need to talk about, they need to get off their chest about what they're going through and stuff. So it emotionally, it's quite a lot. And I thought, no, let me be that person, the support that the stroke survivors needed and will need, because I know that how it is with the 10-year journey that I had before my foundation, that I needed someone. Even if my family and my friends, they supported me, I still needed someone.
Yeah, that knew the journey that you were going through.
Mm.
Do you still remember your very first foundation member? And I guess the next question is, how did you find people, or how did they find you to join your
Well,
foundation and your support group?
actually, the foundation started, well, it started a few months before the pandemic. Like we
Oh, wow.
started like forming it, like as in like registering it with Department of Social Development during like 2019, like a few months before the pandemic in 2020. And then once the pandemic started, then that's when the support group started, because that's when everybody was like, I'm on my phone. I'm going to check my phone. I'm going to be on my phone the whole time. So it was easier to get people during that time because everybody was available. Now it was that time that everybody was like, okay, what do I do now that I'm home? So I do remember the first member, and she is still part of my support group even till today. And she actually had quite an interesting, quite an interesting, story when she came in. And she's a young lady in Limpopo. And she actually was on a wheelchair at that time when she actually started talking to me. And she told me that she had a stroke a couple of years ago. And unfortunately, the information that she got wasn't the way I got information. Because the way I got information, I was also on a wheelchair, but the information I got, unfortunately for me, it was a point of I could still recover. But for her, it was information that she got was that she thought, okay, her and her mother, they thought, okay, they go home and she does nothing. So for me, it was like I went to rehab, I continued with my rehab, and she was just sitting at home. And I told her that isn't the correct way to actually go about your recovery. So fast forward till today, she's actually on crutches. Um, when she's actually close, when the walls are like close by and nearby, then she knows that she can hold on to the walls if she feels like she's gonna fall. But she has been going to physiotherapy for a couple of years now, ever since we started talking in 2020. But yeah, she's now actually becoming even more independent as well when it comes to her education, because she also has 2 kids. So in terms of her education, she's also becoming a bit more independent recently. So I actually enjoy her journey. Not that I don't enjoy the other people's journey, but I enjoy seeing people actually flourish in their journeys, because then I know that, okay, what I'm doing is actually I'm helping them be a better person to what they were actually when I found them.
Yeah, that must be incredible to experience, to really see that improvement
Yeah.
and that journey. What is the actual format of your foundation? How do you go about supporting each other and offering support, advice, testimonials, stories?
Well, now it's a bit different because of the fact that we have expanded the foundation to include all types of disabilities. Because
Of
at
course.
first we were just assisting stroke survivors and the caregivers. So at that point in time, we were actually like, okay, let us create a platform where we could actually offer motivation, give some exercise videos or even pictures of type of exercises they can do at home. And then we could also include like anything extra. Like we used to have like, okay, for now, it's kind of like we still figuring out because of the expansion of us going into all types of disabilities. Before, we actually were just assisting stroke survivors and caregivers. And when we assisted stroke survivors and caregivers, what we used to have is we used to have a schedule where we used to be like, okay, we have to every day when we greeting people, we have to have like a motivational quote, and then we have to have like an exercise video or pictures of exercises that people can do, because we knew that when recovering the arm and the hand, it takes longer than the leg. So we used to make sure that we actually push on recovery when it comes to the arm and the hand a little more, because of the fact that the legs is like, okay, you are walking, you are forcing yourself, because like you, when you walk, I mean, you have to use both your legs. There is
Yeah.
no choice there. And then when you like have to do something, you can always use one hand. I mean, if your left is the strongest, I mean, you can always use just one hand to do everything. So that's where we saw that, oh, no, the neglect is actually adding to a person not being able to recover as fast with the affected side. So that's where we saw that, okay, no, let's try and see if we can help with also the whole recovery and all that situation. And we started thinking of different ways to reach out to people and stuff like that. A lot of people were contacting us with other disabilities during the time we were still assisting just stroke survivors. And they were asking to be assisted and stuff. And it was like, okay, but we only assist stroke survivors and caregivers. And then we would look for other nonprofit organizations that will assist them in their disability. But it seemed like they had no interest, because I would check in on them after some time, and then they would say, no, we didn't contact them. And then it was like, okay, no, maybe this is the way to actually just tell me that I should actually just expand, because now it's like everybody is just telling themselves that no, it's fine. If I'm not going to get your assistance, then what's the point of looking elsewhere?
Yeah. I'm sure they're very grateful that you decided to expand.
I hope so.
I'm sure. So we are obviously chatting now because you had originally reached out because you'd started investing with Frank. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about that journey, as I believe it was the first time that you had started investing. What inspired you to start investing, and how was that a journey getting started for you especially?
Well, I met someone someone in like 2013 who told me a bit about investing. I was like, I'm interested in finding out what's this whole investing situation. So the person would send me books to read so that I can actually understand investing a little more and stuff, because my parents weren't 100% on that level of understanding when it came to investing. So, but then they invested when it came to like putting us through good schools. But then when it came to like investing money, it they weren't 100% in understanding how that works. So I was
Yeah.
like, let me take it a step further and see what is actually meant by investing. So
Mm.
in 2013, I understood, I read and stuff. Then I don't know, I put it on the back end. Then after some time, like I think it was 2022, then I actually revisited that whole situation. It was after my graduation, and I was at the point where I actually had time. So I started watching YouTube channels, and I started hearing people talking about, no, Frank app. I was like, okay, no, I need to see what's this Frank app. So I did my research. Then 2023, I started investing for myself and for my son, because that's when my son was a few months old at that time, and I started investing for him and for me, and I put a debit order on my account so that money could go into the accounts. So I started seeing that, no, at least with a Frank app, there is an opportunity for a person to invest little money. It's not like I'm asked to invest like thousands every month and all. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, my son's account, my son must also have his own account. So that's when I had an account for him and for me. And that's when I left it for quite some time, because I wanted to see if I come back, then how much interest would it be? So after like a year, I actually went on and I saw, and I was like, wow, okay, I got interest on this investment. I got my interest on my investment, and I looked at my sons and I was like, also impressed. And I even took a screenshot because of the fact that one of my friends was actually asking me about Frank app, and she was like, remember we had that conversation in 2023 about Frank app? And I was like, and then I was like, yeah, what about it? Then she's like, did you make any interest on it? So that's when I took a screenshot, and I was like, that is my son's investment account. And then she's like, no, I'm convinced.
Amazing. So did she start investing after that when you showed her what was
Yes.
possible?
She
That's
was, she
great. That's
was,
great to
she's
hear.
like, she said, I'm convinced now. I'm joining.
Amazing.
So at
Amazing.
that point in time, I was like, okay, at least one person is like on board, even though it took a while, but she's on board.
And since then, what have you found is helps you to stick to investing on a regular basis into both your own investments, but also your son's and maybe even your other child's investments as well? Because I think I know, and our team knows, and we've often spoken to other Frank customers. It's
Mm.
hard. It's hard to stick to it every month or every
Mm.
week or however often you like to deposit, especially when times get tough.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have stopped recently. Like a few months ago, I stopped because of the fact that I didn't have an income. So I have stopped. But the thing is, once like I start getting money, and then I do throw in some money into my account, into the investments,
Yeah.
because I mean, just so that, I mean, it could grow, and I mean, if you have an opportunity, why not?
No, completely. And then that's the beauty of it, right? Is that you're not locked into any deposit
Yeah.
cadence. You can invest as much as you want. It doesn't have to be big amounts. So you really can make it work for you.
Yeah.
Letlhogonolo, you had also mentioned previously that your community, your foundation community, that there's a belief that saving or investing isn't possible for them. Where do you think that belief comes from, and what does that mean to you?
Well, personally, I think it comes from investments, different types of investments, expecting you to only put in a certain amount. Like, let's say there are some investments that I know that you, in order for you to start investing with them, you must have like 15,000 or you can't
Yeah.
start investing. So if you put that type of stipulation on your investment, then a person is going to be like, I can't get to 15,000, so I'm going to leave it. And I'm not, and then it's never going to happen because the person has already made up their mind that I'm not going to save up 15,000 just so that I can start investing. So rather allow a person to start small and then they will get to a point where they can actually get to 15,000. So I do definitely think that amongst the disability community, um, it's a stigma that people have because of the fact that they don't have that amount of money. For them, they
Yeah.
have other responsibilities that they have to maybe some people have kids, and then it's like, okay, if I take out 15,000, then what about my kids? What about groceries? What about this and that? So it's kind of like difficult to actually be able to know if I'm going to invest, then I might as well just not get into investing because financially I won't be able to get into investing because of the fact that my kids need that money in order for them to actually get through the day. Because I mean, you can't tell a child that I can't buy you milk.
Yeah. Of course. Then when it comes to your community and getting started saving and investing, what would be your starting advice to them?
Well, my starting advice is actually to do a bit more research because, okay, well, for me, I like to do research. I like researching quite a lot and I spend quite a lot of time doing the research. Uh, in order to see if it's something that I'm interested in going into because I don't like making up my mind over things without first checking if it's something that I would actually be interested in and actually understand it first before I make up my mind. So I think they should do research, especially when it comes to Frank app, because Frank app accommodates, there are so many products that you guys have. There's so many packages that you guys have that actually stand out to so many different people, so many different, like, if they want to if they want to save as a group, I mean, there's a package for that. I was amazed when you guys started the whole saving as a group. And I was like, wow, that's actually motivating because of the fact that if I put in money into the investment, then my friend is going to be like, no, but she put in money. So I must also, because I don't want to look a certain way because I didn't put in any money, this month. So I think it actually motivates people to actually invest together, even if they don't want to invest on their own, they still have an opportunity to invest together. So I definitely do think that research, looking into Frank app, is the best thing that they can actually do for themselves because it's not like any other platform where there's that whole 15,000 before you start investing or anything like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Letlhogonolo, it's been so great to chat to you and to hear more of your story. We obviously have had conversations before, but yeah, I've really enjoyed going into a bit more of the detail. And I've said it before, I'm really inspired by your
Thank you.
journey and the work that you're doing, and the fact that you're not just keeping your learnings to yourself. You're sharing them in a wider support group with others. I think that's very powerful.
Thank you.
Do you have any last words that you'd like to give our audience? Maybe somebody with disability who is starting that journey of recovery. Any words of advice?
You don't have to be disabled to actually go through challenges. Challenges are actually things that we all bump into along the way. But if you know what you want, go for it. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from actually trying to reach for what you want. And don't let your challenges actually stop you from getting there. I mean, I had a stroke and I still went through matric. I got my matric. I still graduated. I got my degree. I recently just graduated from digital marketing. So I don't let anything stop me because of the fact that I really
Clearly.
want things and I want to make sure that I get them. I don't want to along the way be like, I tried, but then it's like, but I still want it type of thing. I want to make sure that I actually go for something. And if I do find a challenge, I always find an alternative route and be like, no, there must be another way to get there. So there must always be a way to get there. I mean, why do we have all these dreams that we want this and that?
Completely agree. And those are very empowering words to finish off with. Thank you again, Letlhogonolo. And thank you to our audience for watching this conversation. I hope you leave as inspired as I do. Until next time, happy investing.